Hey guys, welcome back to Platinum Off-Road. In this video, we're going to talk to you guys about some of the steering correction attempts that some of the lift kits have for you out there, and the reason why that's kind of a dangerous point. One of those being is the fact that they will offer you a drop Pitman arm in that lift kit. Now, when you're dealing with the Jeep JK, they did correct the steering geometry to where, in fact, there's no longer the joint steering where your drag link joins into your tie rod like the TJs had. Now, for the TJ models, that was kind of their Achilles, and when you have a lot of death wobbles issues, you're going to find it down to that steering system 9 times out of 10. Now, on the JKs, they went back to the traditional steering that the CJs had, and that is they have a drag link that crosses over from the Pitman arm all the way over to the passenger knuckle, restoring strength and stability, and also getting rid of that issue where every time you hit a bump, you're changing your tie rod angle as well as your drag link angle. So that was the problem with the TJs and their steering. JKs, they fixed it. Now, some of the lift kits back in the TJ days, they did offer drop Pitman arm, which was helpful to some degree for correcting that harsh angle that you would often get having your tie rod and your drag link coming in as such. So they would drop it down and correct that. JKs don't need that. So with these lift kits, what we've seen is actually poor metal quality. And I'll show you a quick zoom in here of what this Pitman arm looks like, the splines inside here. And so where that meets the sector shaft is you're going to start to see this start to wobble off of the sector shaft. Every time you go to turn or if you hit a bump, that Pitman arm is actually going to wobble on you. This Jeep is here in the shop to get death wobble correction. And immediately the first thing I saw underneath this Jeep was this issue amongst other problems that we have on this Jeep. So I know for a fact that this drop Pitman arm is going to get restored back to a factory Pitman arm. We're going to come over here and get rid of this raised track bar bracket that came in that lift kit. And then we're going to restore that angle as well as the drag link angle and bring safety back into the drivability of this Jeep. So let's go ahead and look at the actual Pitman arm and how it's wobbling off the sector shaft. And then you'll see exactly what we're talking about. Okay, so obviously you can see there's movement there. Now, how does that affect the total drive? Well, every single time this Jeep wants to break into death wobble, one of the absorbing points of the whole repercussion of the tire going back and forth is going to be this Pitman arm itself. And every single time that it's going to go, as the tire slap, this Pitman arm is going to actually wobble in there, absorbing some of that. And so we're going to go on a test drive real quick, and I'm going to show you in here what exactly we're feeling, because in this test drive, we're going to get the Jeep to break into death wobble, and you're actually going to be able to see that the whole Jeep isn't exactly shaking, because a lot of that death wobble is being absorbed in this Pitman arm. Now, another factor is the strength on that. If you were to think about a point of leverage on that sector shaft, what would you rather have? Would you rather have something pulling and pressing on you from far away, adding more leverage against the sector shaft, ultimately taking strength away from the sector shaft? This factory Pitman arm is going to actually bring it back up and help restore strength back into your sector shaft. So you're going to get added strength back into your steering system as well as that driving comfortability and safety. So let's go ahead and take a test drive real quick and you'll be able to see what we're talking about. All right, so here we are out on the road. This thing's got a terrible death wobble coming in, and as you can see, the Jeep's not shaking like you typically would think it to do. However, had we had a good Pitman arm on this thing would be a lot different. This is a very soft version of a death wobble, it seems. And just nothing that you would expect at all from a typical death wobble. It would usually shake you like crazy. Tires are outside going crazy, but not much is happening to the actual body. And that's exactly what we're talking about. You got that slop in your Pitman arm on the sector shaft. And it's just, yeah, there you go. Proof's in the pudding, guys. Okay, so now the time comes, we're going to go ahead and tear this down, break off the poor Pitman arm, and we're going to get this guy back on. we're going to take off the track bar bracket, the raised track bar bracket, to help explain some of the steering geometry about dropping a Pitman arm or raising a track bar. We have another video here on our channel. If you go check out the steering geometry, a link will be down in the description. It kind of explains the relationship between your track bar and your drag link. Again, those track bar brackets come with this kit because the manufacturer knows if we drop this point of movement and this point of radius on this drag link, we need to also adjust the track bar to help offset what they call bump steer. So again, that video explains that in better detail, but however, because we're losing strength through this drop, and also because the poor material in here, we have a safety issue, we're going to get rid of all this entirely and move to a safer setup. So here we are after the repairs, or corrections you could say. We're going to go ahead and hang out at that death wobble zone, that 46 or so, 45 to 50 range. And we're on a small road here, pretty good concrete, however, some bumps here and there. And, you know, a lot different. We've got a pretty good response rate to our steering, which we didn't have before. And of course, we don't have any shimmy at all. There are issues there. And every time we do hit a bump, we seem to be pretty stable. So I definitely feel like we've corrected the problem. All right, so back here at the bench, this is exactly what we took off. These two items combined together is actually just double the trouble. You don't want any part of that in your Jeep. So as you're researching your lift kit, if your lift kit is coming with a drop Pitman arm and a raised track bar bracket, don't plan on using those. It's only going to cause you problems down the road. What you want to do is stick to your factory Pitman arm and then do a adjustable track bar so that way you can center your frame back over your axle once you start to elevate the frame off of it due to the lift kit. So again, one thing we do want to mention is that this was not the cause of death wobble. We actually have had a number of clients come through complaining about lack of control or instability on the road, or just a lot of slop in the steering. And sure enough, when we go underneath and we find that drop Pitman arm, we start to see that slop. The video that we showed today was actually very minimal movement compared to what we've seen in the past. So don't be surprised that if you're buying a Jeep, or if you've got a Jeep with instability and you go underneath there and see that drop Pitman arm, you might want to start planning alternative routes to get that thing out of there. I hope this video was helpful, and again, if you've enjoyed the video, give us a like and a subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more future videos to help you keep your Jeep on the road.